JAG University, episode 11. Kevin, we're talking deductibles. Now, is there a deductible on every insurance policy?
Most of them, at least. Probably almost all of them, I would say.
And what do you define a deductible?
A deductible would be, in the event of a claim, what you're responsible for paying.
When the claim is closed, right? At the closure, once it's absolute, there's a resolute solution to a claim that's been resolved.
Correct.
Now, how do you find your deductible? It should be where?
It should be listed on your declarations page. I mean, depending on the policy, but generally there, where you get all your standard policy information, it should have it pretty plain English. And there's a lot of different types of deductibles. It depends on the policy. I think it's just really important to understand how the deductible is applied.
Right.
Because it's not just, the percentage, the dollar amount, but how it's applied as well is very important.
Now, you mentioned percentage amount. There are two different types of deductibles. There's a percentage deductible and a flat dollar amount.
Correct.
Now, the percentage of the deductible, that's where you see a lot of different variances, right?
Yeah.
Different types of policies. And even multiple percentages depending on, we live in South Florida and cat-driven zones, right? How, for example, on your hurricane deductible, how would you define that?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy down here because it's really expensive to have a hurricane claim. I mean, it's always a percentage deductible, and that's of the total building value in most cases. So if you have $1 million building and you have a 3% hurricane deductible, I mean, you're on the hook for $30,000. That's pretty crazy.
Well, and then so break that down, and we want to get even deeper on the deductible. When you find that as well, I mean, how that deductible applies, are you looking at how is it calendar year? Is it per occurrence? So deductibles kind of start to evolve, right? Once you just figure out what it is, there's a flat number, but is it basically you're getting applied for every calendar year?
Yeah.
Is it per occurrence? Sometimes even per building. Sometimes the deductible, I think, is one of those. It should be highlighted on a declaration page. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But I think that's, besides looking at the premium, that's also a direct factor, right, of what you're paying. That has to be super hyper focused. What's my deductible, right? What am I going to pay out of pocket in lieu of a claim, and how is it being applied?
Yeah, and it's actually pretty crazy because sometimes you'll see a property quote and it won't necessarily specify how the deductible is applied. You have to ask. I mean, I've seen plenty of quotes from carriers that just say 5%, and it's a quote with 10 locations. Okay, well, is it 5% per location? So let's say you have 10 locations with 10 buildings, each one's $1 million. Is my deductible $50,000 for every building? Or is it 5% of the entire portfolio that I'm on the hook for?
Right. That's the fine print. And we get specific into property owners, right? Multifamily, anything like that. That's where you see a huge variety in pricing on certain carriers. It's not just the number, right? But it's how it's being applied. It's the fine print. I mean, it's insurance companies. That's what they do, right? And it's on page 89 of that's broken out. That sometimes agents or even some of the agents kind of miss it.
Of the policy that you don't even get access to until after you buy coverage.
Right.
So it's not even on the quote. You can't even read the quote and find it. It'll be on the policy. So if you don't request the form or ask them, you might never know. So what if you have two quotes and it's a schedule of 10 buildings? You have proposal A, proposal B. There's only $5,000 or $10,000 difference in pricing. But one has a hurricane deductible applied per policy, and the other one is per location.
Now, when you go per location, obviously the percentage number is going to be lower.
Yeah.
Per policy, you're looking at the total insurable value. At that point, you're never going to have a hurricane claim.
Exactly. So
the probable maximal loss, it's in essence becomes X win, in my opinion.
Yeah. So now your deductible is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars versus one that's going to be significantly lower for a difference in how much in premium.
It could be that it's a big deciding factor, but you're right. That definition isn't explained as much. And now keep going to deductibles. There's also, other than wind, right? Sometimes it's defined. Everyone thinks they have a hurricane deductible, but sometimes that's described as wind and hail. And how is that different, right? A hurricane deductible is any named storm.
Correct.
Right? Category 1 or up. Not just a tropical storm, which now it's named on it. They name everything, tropical depressions. You know?
Yeah.
Just a normal rainy day, tornado. And sometimes that's a big difference as well, right? Is it just any rainy day or just named hurricane storms? Is it calendar year, per occurrence we talked about earlier? Is it every time you have a claim? Or if you get multiple claims, are they subtracting it through that policy period?
Exactly. So it's not just how much is your deductible, but how is the deductible applied? That should be the second question, because that might even be more important than how much it is upfront.
Right, 100%. Deductible, it's going back into it, it needs to be talked as much, even right after the premium, right? Because that deductible and how it's applied, how high is it, is going to be the biggest direct correlation of what you're paying in premium.
Yeah.
Right, your annual cost. So find out your deductible, find out how it's being applied, how, who, what, where, in lieu of a claim, and it'll put you in a position to make a better decision.
Absolutely.